Hello, what's happening, everybody? This is Break It Down, the show where we talk to some amazing artists and we dissect songs, videos, projects, and features and hear the stories that go into the creative process. Our guest today is Revalation of EMS. Give it up for Rev. Rev, what's up, man?
What up, party people? What's good?
Before you get into a little bit about yourself, what I want to break down today is feature presentation. And this is a mixtape album, kind of. I know you arranged this whole thing with, I don't know how many artists are on this thing, 20. And so I want to break it down, feature presentation, the project. Before we do that, tell our listeners where you were when this project came out, like in a mindset, how you developed this project, and what made you want to do feature presentation where it's like every song you're featuring at least one or two artists. Tell us what the impetus was for feature presentation.
Yeah, so basically the idea behind the tape was at the time, this was back when mixtapes were like a thing, but at the time I just done a couple other mixtapes, and the idea of the mixtape series was to make it like cinematic, you know what I mean? So I basically was borrowing skits from movies and stuff like that. So for those that don't know like anything about my personal life or whatever, so I went to school for acting, right? I thought I was gonna be like, the next Denzel. That didn't pan out. But the music was the true calling, and that was the true art that I stuck with. But the acting aspect and the movie aspect, I was always a fan of. I was always a big movie buff. So I used to incorporate a lot of movie skits and different things like that in my earlier works. And I came up with a mixtape series basically where it was just going to be like kind of like plays off of like Commercial Interruption I released. And that was kind of like, remember back in the day, you used to watch like a TV movie and then, they'd have those like commercial breaks and they'll be, we'll be right back after these messages. And then they'd have like a bunch of commercials and then they go back into their feature presentation, right? Sure. So I kind of played all the mixtapes that I did around that aspect. So Commercial Interruption was one of them. And then following that, I did a joint mixtape with a homie, Streat, who was an affiliate of EMS. And we did one called Commercial Poison because he had a series called Pick Your Poison. And I had the commercial interruption thing going and all that. So we just kind of combined. And then following that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a project called Feature Presentation. And I want to make it like very relatable to like a movie kind of, So instead of, if you look at the track list, instead of saying featuring such and such, I put co-starring. So everything has like a movie cinematic feel to it. You look at the cover, I designed the cover, you see a film strip. It's like a film strip. And then under the film strip, it's a microphone and it's seating, And it's kind of like, it's supposed to give that theatrical vibe to it. So it's like the meshing of both worlds, like film, theater, and music, like all together. And that's kind of what I wanted to create with this project, is give it that cinematic feel. And every track, the idea about feature presentation is that every track was to have a feature. And some of these tracks were tracks that I had done previously, and they would just sit in the cut. It might have been a feature I'd done for somebody else's project. And, I said, hey, can I use it on this project as well? Some of it was just like singles that were just like sitting. And then other stuff was like newer stuff that I actually recorded for the project. So it was like a mixture of all those things.
Nice. All kinds of features on this project. Were there artists that you couldn't get that you wanted? And tell us about some of the artists that are on the project, and that maybe you were surprised that they got back to you and said that they, all right, I agree to be on this track or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, there was definitely some people that I reached out to. Either I didn't hear back, or like it just wasn't in my budget to try and like get them on this project. Um, this project was done complete. It was a passion project. So like the features that you hear on here, I didn't pay any of them. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
Either I had done them some sort of solid before and they did it as a favor, or it was, like I said, it was a track that I did for somebody else, like maybe they had paid the artist and I jumped on the song and then they let me use the song too. Um, but then there's features that I reached out to the people and I just basically politicked it with them. Networking over the years, I had just built a lot of relationships since we had started this thing, and I used that to my advantage for this project. And a lot of them said yeah, some of them said no, some of them wanted like money, which is understandable. Everybody should get paid for their art and stuff. But at the time, I just didn't have it in my budget, and it was just a mixtape that I was putting out for free at the time. You know what I mean? Like I just wanted the world to hear this idea that I had. But there's a ton of people on the album. To answer your question, like, so we got Shah Stimuli, for anybody who's familiar with him. Um, he was a dope artist. Like he's still around too. He doesn't release as much material, but he had a series where he did a mixtape every month for a whole year. And that's how I heard of him. And we connected with him, me and Mayhem, for a song. We had Joe Scudder, who was down with Little Brother and Ninth Wonder. He's on here. Reks is on here. Terminology. Punchline from Punch and Words and EMC is on here. King Magnetic is on here from AOTP. And then also too, we got the crew, of course. EMS is on here. M.Dot's on here. Mayhem's on here. Benefits on here. Undo's on here. Like, so they, Desco, who else? Boycott Blues, another dope Boston artist.
So how
Trying to
long
think
did
of
this
who.
project take to put together, with all these artists having to record all these separate verses?
Yeah, so obviously now it's different because it's the send-in era, so you don't got to be in the studio with people. You know what I mean? So
Right.
this project was probably about, I'd say about 2 years in the making, a year and a half, 2 years. It took that long because obviously you had to wait for verses. So it was a little bit longer than what it would normally take. But the project is also 22 songs, so
Yeah.
like like nowadays that's like, it's like a double album nowadays, you know what I mean? People release like 9 songs, it's 8 songs, it's an album. So
Yeah.
like it took a lot of time, but I feel like everybody really that contributed to it, it wouldn't have been the same without them. Every feature, every song I felt that landed on the project, I felt if it wasn't on the project just would have been, it wouldn't have been the same. It would have been different. But yeah, to answer your question, about almost 2 years. And I put it out in the end of 2013, so like December of 2013. And I literally rocked that for a minute. Like I lived off the promo of that album because like every song was like a single because every song had features on it, and
Right.
I would share the song and the artist would share the song, and it would, songs from this mixtape ended up on DJ mixes, and it just took on a life of its own.
And is it still available now, like on a Dat Piff or?
Yeah, it's finally on streaming outlets. I put it on streaming outlets a few years ago. And like if you want to listen to it like just online, I believe it's on that Piff. It's also on Audio Mac. So
Okay.
for those that use Audio Mac, a couple of songs are on SoundCloud. The whole thing isn't, but a few songs from it are. But it's on all streaming outlets now, so you can go listen to it on Apple Music, Spotify. Just search Revalation feature presentation and you'll find it.
And I know you had had a couple of your favorite songs. You want to get into a couple of those?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So you know, 22 tracks is a lot of tracks, but there's definitely some songs that I feel are some of my favorites because they've stood the test of time. Like I can go back and still, because you know, artists, as you grow and you get better and think, you know, like you kind of look back on tracks and you have that cringe where you're like, I could have did this better, I could have did that better, or this sounds like trash or whatever. But there's definitely a few on this project
Is
where I'll still listen to them.
Party in My Pants, is that one of them?
That's it's definitely one of them because that track is a funny track because so Core, shout out to Soul Infected who produced the beat. He had sent me a batch of beats and I sent Core. I was like, yo, I want to get you on a track. You know, I don't know what type of track it is gonna, you know, it's gonna be yet, but I sent them a few beats and I was like, you pick a beat and you tell me what you're feeling. You know what I mean? Because I had all these crazy hardcore underground MCs, you know what, King Magnetic, Punchline, all these dudes. And then I'm like, how am I going to get, I want my crew on here. So how do I get Core on here, but where he could still be himself? So he takes that beat and sends me back his verse and chorus already laid. And our boy Strict 9, who I mentioned earlier, I'd done a mixtape with, and they sent me the track with an open space for my verse. So they basically did the song and said, here, you could jump on this. Like, and so I was like, oh, thanks. Like, don't mind if I do. And no, so yo, he sent me this song. The hook was incredible. He fucking murdered the hook. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna go in and I want to do it clever because if you listen to the song and the chorus, he's talking about, you know, he says party in my pants, but he's basically the abbreviation, the title of the song is PIMP. So right away, people are going to think, oh, 50 PIMP, but really it stands for party in my pants. And he's basically talking about getting it popping, like with a chick, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and so we all kind of did like metaphors alluding to that, you know, so it was a fun track. One of my other favorites on here is Here We Go, featuring Dominique Larue, or co-starring Dominique Larue.
Nice, yeah.
And that's a dope song, and that's a great song to perform to. I still perform that to this day just because it has such a vibe to it. But it's produced by Shade Cobain out of Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, I believe. And he's a dope producer, and he sent me a batch of beats, and I heard this one, and as soon as I heard this, I was like, yo, I got to get Dominique Larue on this, because I knew her vibe with her voice, like the tone of her voice, would fit perfectly on this beat. So I laid everything down, and I left the verse open for her. I left 2 verse slots for her, a 16 and then an 8 bar where she comes off of my verse. And I sent that to her, and she's like a pro. She's so dope. She banged it all out, sent it back to me, like her vocals mixed and all that within a few days. And yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite tracks. And then
shout outs to Dominique Larue.
Yeah, she's a dope MC. Check her out. If you haven't heard of her, you can go check her out online. All her music's on streaming platforms. Let me see. I think another one of my favorites probably is We're From Mass. That's just like a, you know, it's like a mass anthem type track, me, dot, and terminology. It's a dope joint. It's just kind of like some shit talking, some braggadocio, and it's got like really dope cuts on it. And then probably one of my other favorites, and it seems to be a fan favorite. This is actually M. Dot's favorite joint from this mixtape, is Paid Dues.
Yeah.
So Paid Dues, yeah, this one, I get a lot of feedback from this one. And I never really like thought of it like that, is because it's just a really quick, hard song. But people seem to love it because people always tell me, oh, you remind me of Big Pun on that song. That's what they always tell me. And it's funny because one of the lines I actually mentioned Big Pun in that, and I wasn't even going for that feel. But obviously being originally from the Bronx, being Puerto Rican, like I get that comparison a lot, which I'm totally fine with. I'll take it because that's like, you know what I mean? That's one of my inspirations. But that song, for some reason, it sticks out with people, and it's become one of my favorites because of that, because I could still go back and listen to it. And it's produced by Schematics, who's done a lot of stuff with AOTP and Jedi Mind Tricks and stuff like that. And it features my dude K to Lose, who's also from New Bedford originally. and we just both go in, man. It's just one of those bar out type songs.
Yeah, that's a dope track. Paid Dues. Go check that one out. One of my favorites is, I think it's all EMS members, is Gutter Music.
Oh yeah,
That's
a hard one.
You can slap your mother to it, you know.
Yeah, that's one of the lines. That's yeah, Gutter Music is, I believe it's me, Benefit, and Desco.
Yes.
And it's produced by Empney, who's from Greece. And he had been wanting to work with us for a minute, and he had sent some stuff to me and Dot, and we had done something for one of his projects, and we even shot like a little gutter like video in a house for him for like a song on one of his projects. And then he sent me another batch, another folder, and I was like, this would be perfect to get, you know, some EMS guys on. And the first ones I thought of were Benefit and Desco, because they have that like gritty vibe to them, like the grittiness in their voices. Benefit kind of reminds me of like a battle MC, like reminds me of like Cassidy, like with his style, his delivery. And then Desco has that like that rasp in his voice. So when I heard this beat, I sent it to him, and they, you know, they delivered. They sent me their verses back, and it's just a hard, gritty joint. Gutter Music's the perfect name for it.
Yeah, I love that grimy joint. I love songs where there's lyrics that you might either wouldn't or shouldn't say like out loud or publicly.
Yeah,
because I like to say things that like you probably shouldn't say or you wouldn't say.
Yeah.
And so you know, I'll randomly just say that line, you know, like Gutter Music, you can slap your mother to it. Say what, you know.
yeah, and it's one of those things, because when I was writing that, right, I was like, I did the chorus so simple. It was so simple. And I was just like thinking, what would be the most gutter things like people would do? You know what I mean? And obviously, like slapping your mother, it doesn't get any more gutter than that. Like, so, you know, and I thought I incorporate some humor with the gutterness, you know?
Yeah. No, I love it. It's a dope project, feature presentation, co-starring many dope MCs.
Everyone.
It's really a great project. When I first heard it, I love the concept of it. Feature presentation, it's all these features. It's the presentation of all these songs coming together, all these artists. Congratulations, man. It's an awesome project. I know it's not like an album, but it does feel like an album the way it came together.
For sure.
It's super dope. So anybody out there, like Rev said, it's on Audio Mac, and so it's on Spotify, iTunes as well.
Yep, it's on all the streaming platforms, the major streaming platforms now. So you can go take a listen. Just search Revalation feature presentation. It'll pop up.
Awesome. Rev, thanks for breaking down feature presentation for us. It's a awesome project. It still gets regular play on my
Nice
collector. So props to you, my friend. Let all our listeners know where they can find out more about Revalation.
Yeah, man. If y'all want to follow me on social media, just follow at RevILlutionAries. So it's RevOFEMS, all one word. So yeah, follow me on there and shoot me a DM and just stay tuned, man. We got so much dope music coming out, albums, singles. So we're moving right now.
Awesome. Go follow Rev. It's worth it. It's free. And you get some great music, some comedy. And yeah, appreciate you taking some time, my friend. I know you're busy keeping only
Thank you, man.
And EMS going. So salute to you, my friend. Rev, as always, it's been a pleasure. We'll catch you next time where we'll break down another project. And for all our listeners out there, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode of Break It Down. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Break It Down. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcast. If there's a song or video you want us to break down with an artist, hit us up on social media at OwnLaneMusic, or hit the artist up directly and mention our show. Maybe we can talk to him. That's it, everyone. Peace out.